There we go. So, hopefully, hello everybody. This is Carol, Crafty Carol from Northern Ireland in my slightly messy craft room. Hopefully, you can't see too much of the mess. But I'm here doing my live. I do one every week. I do one here at 2 o'clock on Facebook and on YouTube. So I hope you can catch it on one of those things. If you are listening and if you do join me, please do put in the chat who you are, where you're from, so that I can say hello. The one downside of doing these lives, of course, is that you can't speak to me directly, but I do a Zoom Craftalong on Zoom tomorrow morning, and the link for that is on the website. It's also in the emails. So if you sign up for my emails, you'll get the link every time. So before I say any more about today, I just want to tell you that next week I am actually having a week off because in the summer I do a whole load of cricket scoring for various teams, including some of the Cricket Island boys and girls teams and things. And I have so busy next week. I have four matches next week, and I just do not have time to fit in a live or a craft along. So I thought I'm going to give myself a week off. Don't put pressure on myself because that's just daft. It's very easy to put too much pressure on yourself, I think, sometimes when you're doing things. I'm just going to slurp my coffee before it actually goes cold, as usual on these things. I made it about 20 minutes ago, but it's still hot. So I thought I'd have time to drink it before we started the live. Never mind. One of these days I'll get my timings a bit better and a bit more right. Yeah. So there is no live next week. I will put a notice up to that effect on my Facebook page. No idea how you do that on YouTube. It just doesn't appear. So I think hopefully that'll make it obvious to people that that isn't a live next week. But I will try and remind you before the end of this one, just to say, I know a couple of people have said they're not going to be here today, but I'm hoping one or two will join us, because it's amazing. It's what I didn't realise is how much this can go across the world, and of course it does, because the internet is everywhere now. And I do have people who sometimes come to South Africa. I have some from Canada. I have some from the US. It's brilliant. I suppose the only country I wouldn't expect any is Australia, New Zealand, because it really is the middle of the night over there at this time. So that wouldn't be any good. But anyway, always good to see a lot of people from the UK and Ireland, of course. And yeah, oh, that message has just popped up to tell me I'm live. Amazing. I thought I was already live, and I thought I'd nearly done 3 minutes. Sometimes the messages take a while to come through, don't they? So anyway, enough about me. I am going to keep drinking my coffee, but I am going to just swap the view so that you can see my craft desk and see this. I'm just going to move that out of the way. Is this backwards? I'm just trying to work it out. Does that, if I hold this closer? It is. It's backwards. Why is that backwards? Excuse me just a minute. I'm going to put myself back in there, and I'm going to turn that off for a second and try and work out how on earth that has managed to get backwards, because I thought I'd set it so that it wasn't. So that. Let's try again. It's something to do with the setting on the camera, but I don't know how to. Oh, hang on. Settings. There we go. I've just found settings. Video. Mirror camera. I think that's the problem. Is that the problem? Let's see if this actually works. Let me try that and see if that actually works. Imagine everything being backwards. That's ridiculous. Let's have a look now and just check, see if that's actually right. Oh, yes, finally with the right way round. How peculiar. That hasn't happened before. It's very odd. Somehow there was a little button called mirror camera which had actually got turned on. No idea why. Never mind. The gremlins get into everything. Anyway, here is my craft desk, and this is my cup of coffee, obviously, and the stamp set that we're using today. So I'm going to keep drinking my coffee down because it is starting to go a little bit cooler. But this is a beautiful, beautiful set. It has some gorgeous sentiments. And I do quite like these sentiments that are a mix of sort of straightforward fonts and nice sort of curvy handwriting fonts. I don't know what you call them, but I quite like those. So we've got Thinking of You Fondly, You Make Life Better, that are both the mix. Then you've got Dearest Friend in this sort of italics, I Appreciate You and Missing You in straightforward, just block capitals, and a thanks in italics. Rather nice. It's got this beautiful sort of splattery stamp, and it's also got these gorgeous flower stamp. That's like a thistle sort of growing up, just some ordinary sort of anything flowers. I don't know, there's probably a particular type they are, but I don't know. And these gorgeous leaves. And it comes with a set of dies. And I'm going to get them out because the stamp set matches the dies, or the dies match the stamp set. Which way round should that be? The dies probably matching the stamp set. Get it the right way round. Sometimes they come as quite big sheets, and this was one of the big sheet ones. So I've actually cut it down because I do like to keep the dies where they match the stamp so closely. I do like to keep them together. So I have actually cut round this one to give two pieces, which then actually fit into the box, because that's important to me. But I wanted to show you the dies because this thistle die, this thistle stamp thing, this is like a thistle stamp thing there. This actually will cut out round the thistle stamp. Then you've got these leaves, and that one cuts the leaf stamp out. But you also have an additional thistle stamp, which is, what am I talking about? Thistle die, which actually cuts out a solid image. And the same with this, which is just like little leaves, just a leaf sort of plant. And then there's this gorgeous sort of leaf frond thing, which is rather nice. You've got lots of separate leaves, 2 of these sort, and 3, I suppose, 4 of these sort. A little flower bud. So loads and loads of different stamps, which are far more than just the set itself, just the stamp set itself. So I am going to use quite a lot of these in today's card. So let me show you what I was thinking today. I'm going to come back and just talk while I finish actually drinking my coffee. So let me come back into there. There we go. And what I wanted to do was use the dies that don't match the stamps, the dies that are set, that haven't got a matching stamp, and see if I could make a sort of monochrome or colour and white card with them. And I had a go, but I'm not happy with it. So I'm going to try another one today, which is going to be a little bit different and use a different colour. And I'm going to use the new Basic Beige colour because I think it'll match these better. The one I actually made first is Shy Shamrock. Let me just pop this back onto my desk, and then won't go. There we go. Then I'll show you the card I actually made. So I wanted to make something. Just shut that up for a minute. I wanted to make a card which had use the splattery stamp as the background, which you can see there, and has panels in it. And if you look, you'll see that what I did was I stamped across the panel and the base card at the same time, so they sort of overlap off the panel. And then I put a little border around the panel by mounting it on a basic white layer. And then I used the die cuts just simply out of basic white and stuck them on top. And it's okay. I'm sort of vaguely happy with it. I used the thanks, this lovely little italic thanks, and then added a few gems. Still can't find, if you were with me last week, you'll know I completely lost my in-colour gems, and I still have lost them. I just do not know where they've gone. I did have some. I think I might have to order some more. So these are some older glitter gems, which just match the colour, which is fine. I think they were jade originally, the colour for that. What was it called? Jade something. Anyway, never mind. They match this card okay to put them on. But several things with it. Oh, hello, Suzanne. Lovely to see you. Look, you like it. Yeah, I'm just not that happy with it. And I'll tell you what I don't like about it. I think some of these gems are too big for it. That's my first thing. And I also don't like the size of the panel. I think the panel is so big, it's not really letting you see this stamped across stamping that I did. So I'm not 100% happy with it. So that's why I'm going to redo it today in a different colour. So it's all right, and I shall definitely use it. And somebody who buys from me will get this as a thank you card, no doubt about that. I did do the inside as well, just to show. I've used the You Make Life Better and the Frondy leaf one, because I love this Frondy leaf stamp. It's beautiful just on its own, or obviously you could colour it in if you wanted. But I'm sticky monochrome, so I didn't want to colour it in because that would be too much colour, really. And I also did the same stamp on the envelope, so it all matches. So that was my stamp, and I've just realised I've done the same thing as I did last week, which is leave all my blocks behind my computer. So excuse me while I just do funny things with the computer while I actually get the blocks out that I need. Those should do. I think that's probably enough blocks. Enough blocks for anybody, that is. That's half my blocks. Where are we? There we go. There, that's better. So I've got my blocks out for my stamps. So I'm going to finish my coffee because otherwise it is going to go cold like last week. So I'm glad you like the card, Suzanne, but I think you like the one I'm going to do just that little bit better. So I'm going to make the panel smaller and I'm going to make it more obvious, the stamping across it. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I shall just finish this, but that's okay. And get over the stuff I need, and then you can have a look at that while I'm just slurping my coffee. So the Basic Beige, it comes with a ribbon. I haven't even opened the ribbon, look. I haven't even taken the top off. The ribbon, getting the ribbon plastic off can be a pest, actually. There must be a technique to it, which I have not found. So I just sort of poke at it until it decides to come off. There we go. There, that's decided to come off. So that's the ribbon, and it's got the most beautiful detail in it. Can you see the stitching down the edge? It's just lovely. Basic Beige ribbon. I don't know what it's just called, Basic Beige. Oh, I don't know. There's probably a name for the ribbon, but it's bordered ribbon. It's called a bordered ribbon. There we go. It comes with the Basic Beige has its own pad, Basic Beige pad. We've got the card stock, which I'll give you all the bits in a minute. And I also wanted to match it with these. These are from the online exclusive Latte Love. I think it's called Latte Love Suite. And these are adhesive back swirl dots, and they're absolutely beautiful. Can you see the detail in them? They've got like, I don't know if it'll go a bit too blurred if I get too close, but they've got sort of brown swirls within the dot. Hopefully you can see that. And they're just lovely. So I thought those are very like Basic Beige. I don't know what colour they're supposed to be. It doesn't actually say the colour. But it'll match anyway. And so that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to finish my coffee. Slapping it down. There, because last week it had gone completely cold by the time I'd finished. Of course, I really must make it a bit earlier. So I am going to make, as I say, a similar card. So I've used a Basic Beige. It's quite hard to say that, actually. Basic Beige base. Too many B's. Even though I like alliteration, that's hard to say. And this is the normal size base. So it's half a sheet of A4, cut 14.8 down the long length, and that's the whole width, which is 21 centimetres, scored at 10.5 centimetres, or for the American sized card, it would be 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. So, and you can have it whichever way you want. I'm going to probably have it, yes, I'll have it opening portrait as usual. I have got myself an envelope because we're going to stamp that as well. And then the bits I need, and I have already cut out some of these. Ooh, there we go. Ooh, bit of die cut just falling out there. So I've got, these are the panels. I've gone much, much smaller. I've gone much narrower. These, I think I did at, was it 7 or not? No, I can't remember now. Yes, 7. That panel on that one was 7 centimetres wide. So the first thing I wanted to change is to make that narrower. So I've made this panel just 5 centimetres across, and it's 9 centimetres deep. So it's actually the same depth as the previous panel, but much narrower because I think it's going to look better. And we also want a mat for that. And I've done one with a really, really tiny border, just a couple of, well, it's actually 1 millimetre every side. So this is carefully cut at 5 by 9 centimetres. In inches, that's 2 inches by 3.5. And the basic white piece to go around it is 5.2 centimetres by 5.25. I made it sort of a quarter. So 5.25 by 9.25. And in inches, that's 2 1/8 by 3 5/8. And it just is big enough to give you a really nice, narrow little border around it when we start to put it together. I've also got a scrap of Basic Beige in case I want to mount my sentiment. I haven't decided yet. We're going to decide on this live. You can decide for me. I've got a scrap to stamp my sentiment, and I've also got a scrap that needs to be big enough for the die cutting, and you need 2 pieces for the die cutting, about 7 centimetres wide, which is, in inches, I didn't actually look at that, so it's sort of 2 3/4, 3 inches wide by about 5 inches deep or 12 centimetres, and that is big enough to die cut this particularly big die that I showed you, this one here. So as you can see, if I put it the right way around to cut it, that just fits. So that's 12 by 7, and that just fits the die cut. Slightly smaller one, 10.5 by 7, will fit the other 2 die cuts, which are, let's put that back. I draw around my dies, by the way, so I know where they go when I put them back, which really helps when you're trying to fit a lot of dies onto a small area like this. So these 2 dies here, I've also cut out, and they will fit on the same size card, or actually a slightly smaller size card. It'll actually fit onto, even better if I turn that round. There we go. So that would fit onto a 10.5 by 7, or I don't know, 2 3/4 by whatever. I don't know what 10 would be. So it's about 4 inches, 4 and a bit inches, something like that. Anyway, just scraps of basic white that fit those in. Now, to save a bit of time, I've already cut these out, so I don't need my dies. Just wanted to show you. Oop, not fit it in again now. There we go, go in. Right, so I've already done those. I will need my stamps, so I need my bigger block. So I just need to reach over again behind the computer. I really should have got these out first. There we go. And I am going to use the little splattery stamp, which can go on there. And the sentiment, I think I'll probably use thanks again, because I always need thank you cards to send with orders and when people buy from me and things. So, and just to say thank you to friends for doing nice things. There's all sorts of thank yous needed. Don't know if I want the other stamps. Can't decide. I may want this one. I think we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So let me get the Shy Shamrock card out of the way so we can just, and that piece, because I don't need that. So these are the bits I've die cut. I've actually have die cut one of each. So those are the die cuts from the 3 different dies I showed you. And I've also got a bit of the big one left from making the Shy Shamrock card, because I used the end of it to put on the Shy Shamrock card. So I've actually got 4 little bits of die cut here. It's obviously up to you. May use them all, may not. Haven't decided yet. I've now got too many stamp blocks out. Let me just move those out of the way. And we can get on with some stamping. So to do this card and get this effect, I'm going to bring that one back in again to show you, that the stamp goes off the main stamp and onto the card, then we're just going to use it without the white panel behind. We're going to add that later. So I'm just going to put this panel probably nearer the middle than I did the other one. I put that one quite low down on the page. I'm going to actually put this more or less in the middle here, and I am going to use just a little tiny bit of, well, I will if I can find it. Here we go. This is removable adhesive. I get it from Amazon. I don't know whether there's a, I don't think there's a make on it, but it is removable adhesive. It's brilliant. Oh, look, I've written the size on the back. No, I didn't have to remember it at all. But I'm just going to put a little line of this removable adhesive on and stick it down to the card. And I've used removable adhesive because it doesn't make the card, it doesn't stick to the card properly. You sort of mean I can easily peel this off. You'll see it when I've done the stamping here. So, big stamp, that's what I needed. And my Basic Beige ink. Ooh. Open that up. Pad looks green, doesn't it? But it isn't. It's, you'll see it is actually this colour. But inking onto the cardstock of the same colour just gives a gorgeous effect. I really, really like it. So I'm going to ink up this stamp, and I'm going to have it so that it goes off this panel and onto the actual card as well. So I've got, you can see, can you see that? That's, see at the edge of the panel there. So I've stamped it across the panel. And I think I'll do the same the other side. It's going to go off the whole card, but I don't think that matters too much. Take that off there. Yes, that'll do. And then, and don't worry if it doesn't actually hit always by the edge of the card, because that's going to be covered by the mat when we do it. While I have got this stamp out, I do want to stamp the envelope, and I'm going to do that with another piece of card underneath so that it doesn't get on my craft desk here. I only need the end of the stamp inked, so I can just stamp the end of the stamp just to give a little bit of the pattern on the card. And then I do also need, I wonder if that bit would be big enough, because I haven't cut a bit for the middle. It probably will. I'm going to use this bit that I've shown you the size for the die cut. I'm going to use it for the middle of the card because I've forgotten to cut a piece. Unless I quickly cut a piece. Hang on, let me just see if I've got an easily accessible bit. Would that bit do? Possibly would. I'm just going to cut the end off that. I cut a circle off that for the project I'm actually doing in the Craftalong tomorrow. That will be out on the blog on Friday. Yeah, that's better size for the middle. May need to trim it down a little bit more, but I just want to, again, put this stamp before I put it away, just in the bottom corner. There we go. So I'm just going to grab my cloth for cleaning my stamps. Clean that one up. I always clean my stamps when I've used ink. I never bother cleaning them when I've used Versamark. Versamark actually helps your stamp take up ink. So if I've used Versamark with my stamps when I'm doing embossing or something like that, then I don't clean the stamp. So it's just a little tip for you. It really does help with ink sticking to stamps if you don't clean Versamark off. And in fact, if you get new stamps, it's not a bad idea to actually stamp them on Versamark before you start trying to pick up. Oh look, got that in. That's the little flower stem die that I showed you. I'm not going to use it today, but it just happens. If I cut things that I don't use, I just leave them in the stamp box, so they're always there for future if I need to cut them. I'll get this stamp up. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to use this one and put this one in the middle of my card. So this one will go up the middle of the card here. Need it up a little bit because I want to get the top off the top of the card like that. There we go. Right. So those are those bits. Oh, I needed the You Make Life Better because I like that for the middle. So I do need another block. I knew I'd need another one. So this one is the You Make Life Better stamp, which I'm going to use for the inside of the card. Just here. There we go. And finally, I am going to use my splatter stamp is the best way to call it, really, because I'm just going to use a little bit of splatter around the card. Let me just put this out of the way. Go over there. There we go. Get rid of that. All getting messy. Right. So the splatter, I'm just literally going to randomly just sort of stamp it, and I'm going to stamp and stamp off. So I've got a mixture because I didn't like the just single stamp look last time. So we're just going to stamp off as well as stamp on. A bit more ink on here to use for a little bit there. That'll do. Perhaps do one there as well. Just there. Yeah, happy with that. So I'm just filling in the blanks, if you think, around the card, just using this little splatter stamp to fill in. So, okay, let's see if this actually makes up and does something sensible. So now, because I've used the temporary adhesive, I can peel it off. And then if you just rub with your finger, any remaining adhesive on the card here just comes off. And I can rub it off this side as well. See if I just rub it with my finger. Comes off like little bits of rubber, you know, when you've used your eraser and you get those little sort of bits left. It's like that. So here is my stamped piece. And this is what I'm going to stick onto my mat, and I'm going to have to do that quite carefully because it isn't much of a border, as I said. So bits of the adhesive there. So I am going to use Tombow because I'm pretty sure I'm going to need the wiggle room just to get this straight on here. Because it's such a tiny border, I need to take a lot of care putting this on so that I get it straight, and there's a little tiny border all the way around. There we go. And you see just how small the border is all the way around there. And now I can work out where to stick this back just by lining up the stamps. There, it'll need to go there. So I'm going to, again, change it from this, because one of the things with this, I thought these, adding the die cuts would add dimension, but it's really very flat, which is great for postage because obviously it doesn't cost too much. But this time I'm actually going to raise up the panel on dimensionals, if I haven't hidden them. I put the dimensionals, oh, never mind. Oh, there we are. So I'm going to use just a few dimensionals around, one in each corner and a couple in the middle. Ooh. Top's already coming off that one. A couple in the middle. I'm going to stick this on the card first. I just realised I haven't stamped my sentiment for the outside. I need to do that too. Didn't remind me. So as I'm sticking this on, I'm just going to line up the stamps so that they do flow from my panel through to the stamp underneath, so that it looks like that. So you can still see how the stamps are going off. But I've now raised this panel and I'm happier with that look, because then with these die cuts, I thought what I might do is actually have them sort of overlapping the panel. I don't know if it's going to work. It might or might not. That thinner one might work down that side. Let's see. Because if I just tuck the end in, I can have the other bits just overlapping the panel a bit. I think that might work. And I'll have the big bit going somewhere like that. And this somewhere in the middle, I think, just to match the stamp underneath. That might be better. Might have to cut a bit off it and stick it so that it's coming out. Yeah, I think I might have it so it's coming out of the side here. If I cut these pieces off. So this is real on the hoof crafting, but that's fine. So I'm going to cut those pieces off and have it just like that. What do you think? Yeah? I think that would look okay. Oh, that piece would be all right on its own as well, actually. Could have that somewhere. Can play around with this a lot. Let me just stamp this other sentiment before I forget. Oh, can't pick up my piece of card. So I'm going to use thanks again. What have we done with the ink? Oh, put it away over there. I do find these new pads aren't nearly as easy to use as the old style ink pads, but they do seem to be better in terms of keeping the ink. I've now got a mark on that, so I'll use this end. So I'm just trying to get it lined up on that piece of card. It's a little bit low. We shall try the emergency side. That is better, it's in the middle. So I think I've mentioned this before, but a little tip: if you use what I call the emergency side, thank you, Suzanne. Yes, that looks good. Thank you. What I call the emergency side of the card, if you look at it, can you see? Let's get it in. There's like a raised edge to it on this side where it's been cut from this side of the card, so it's slightly raised. To get rid of that, because it doesn't look good, you can just simply squish it with a bone folder. Just run your bone folder along and it takes away that raised bit of the edge, so it becomes nice and flat. Okay, so I think I'm going to cut this on the angle, and I'm trying to match the angle of the K on the thanks and cut it at the same angle so that it matches the K. And how to get it the other end exactly the same, the bit you've cut off, this is now the correct angle, so you just turn it round, put it against the other end where you want to cut it, and then simply cut along that line, and then you know that your two lines are parallel, which is important, because if it isn't parallel, it really doesn't look right. Just doing that on the other side as well, because that was a bit raised. So there's my thanks. So I'm going to fiddle around and stick these down. I definitely want that one there. And I might actually stick my thanks up there for a change. And it's whether I have anything overlapping here. Possibly. I definitely want something sticking up this side. But again, I think I'm going to cut off a couple of couple of these leaves here so that I can slot that in here. Yeah, what do you think? I don't want to cover up the stamping underneath, because what's the point of stamping if I'm not actually showing it? But I still want to have something that looks good here. I might chop the bottom off that one and have it on top. What do you think? I think it might look better with the bottom off it. And these extra bits I definitely can use, because I need a few little bits up here, but I don't want to put a full thing up. So I think we'll have that in there. And these little leaves that the branches I've just cut off, I'll have one of those in there, I think. Yeah, what do you think? Do you think that looks okay? Quite like that. I may even cut this one here. I'm cutting it carefully so at the end of it, I can still use this piece. It's nearly a full die cut. But I can have this one up here. What do you think? How do you think? Do you think those look okay? I think I might well go for that. I'm much happier with that than I was the other. Don't like these bits sticking out here. I might have to trim those down a little bit or do something with them. I think if I just angle this piece, it'll actually look all right. It's because I've cut off the sides of them, it looks a bit odd. But if I just cut it so that it's a proper stem, I think that's going to look all right. And those, yeah, I'll probably leave them like that. Yes, because they match the stamping underneath, especially if I put that across a little bit, and then you can see all of the different stems. Yeah, I think we might go with that. Any other comments before I decide to? What do you think? Let me know. So I am going to, I shall do my old-fashioned thing. One of my customers hates this because she said she hates just having anything sticky on her. But I do find putting a bit of glue on the back of my hand works really well when I'm doing little tiny things like this, because especially these tiny ones. Put that one on first, actually. It's difficult to pick up. There we go. So I'm just going to dab the leaves of that in my glue. And then I should really get my tweezers out, but there we go. And this one the same. Just going to dab these into the glue on the back of my hand. As I say, this person that comes to my classes, she absolutely hates this. So hopefully she won't be watching the video. Or if she does, I'm sorry, but sometimes you have to do this because it looks better. There we go. So just try and make sure that's sticking down. Nice. So this one is going to go along the top. As I say, I might trim the bottom off this. We'll see what I feel like at the end and see what you decide, because you can decide on this one. Do I trim the bottom off or not? So I'm going to have it the bottom of the stem to the right of these other stems that I've already got there. And just stick that down. Oops, go a bit further across, please. There, that's better. Stick that down on top. This one, I'm actually only going to glue this side of it. I'm going to leave the rest of the leaves loose, so they're going to stick up slightly, because it'll give me that bit of dimension that I felt was missing from the other card. So if I've pressed those down, these bits are still loose up there, which is nice. And I'll do the same thing with this one. I think there's enough, just about enough gunge left on here without me having to put some new stuff on. Slide that under. And finally this one. Might just need a little bit of glue on the back of there, because I don't think there's enough left on my hand. So might have to just add a little bit on here. It's very difficult to just add enough when you're doing these very narrow little bits of leaf, but I think we've got enough on there. So I've just got it on the bottom bits of this leaf, and then we're going to slide this in at the top here. So yes, and actually if I can just lift those up and stop them sticking down, I'll balance it so I've got bits sticking up both sides. What do you think? Do you think that looks better? I must admit, I think it looks a lot better than the first card. I think it's just got that little bit more happening, a little bit more depth to it. So the question is, Do I just stick that on flat on there, or shall I mount it on a piece of card? So I've got a border around that as well. I think I'm tempted to put the border around. What do you think? What does anyone think is... I need advice on this one. What do you think? Shall I have a border around it? Just cut this bit. Oh, blew on me. Cut this bit and have it just with a little border matching this border, so a nice tiny border. So it'd look a bit like that. Obviously not with the rest of this on it. I think I might, What do you think? Border. Okay, Suzanne, it's on you if it doesn't look right. Oh, hello, Ardeen. Lovely that you can join me. Glad you like this card. Let me just stick this bit on and then we can trim this and finish the card. Well, still got one or two little things to do, but... Right, so we will have a border. We shall stick this on here. There we go. And then trim round. I'm just going to do this by eye rather than getting my trimmer out. If you prefer to use your trimmer, of course, then do that. But when it's fairly narrow border, then I think actually just using a little eye thing is enough. So there, that's with the border. Yeah, I think you're right. Oh, Ardeen, you agree with the border as well. I think you're both right. I think you're absolutely right. I should have the border as well. Yes, you are. You are completely right. Thank you very much for that. So what I'm going to do is add just some of these tiny little well, they're called mini dimensionals. Don't know why I call them tiny. They are tiny, but they're mini dimensionals. And because I want it to sit on top of this panel I've already raised, I'm only going to put them on the bit that'll be raised because the panel itself will raise the other bit. Does that make some sense? So, sorry, you can catch. Of course, you can catch the start. I'll show you where we started from, Arlene, as well, and then you needn't watch the start. Oh, there we go. I'll describe what I've done as well, so then it won't matter that you didn't see the start. So I've put these just at the very top because I want this to sit across the top of here, and this is already raised. So the bottom of this is flat on there, and the top will just stick up because of those two dimensionals I've put on the top. There we go. What do you think? I'll show you so that you, Arlene, can see the card. Oh, I haven't stuck the middle bit in. It's no good doing a middle bit and then not sticking it in the card, is it? Let's just do that. So we'll just stick, I think that was my running out piece. Never mind. Oh, it also helps if you stick it the right way up. That was nearly the wrong way up. That's bad. Right. So that's got the inside of the card, outside. Let me show you the card I'd started with. When I first started playing with this set, this is the Thoughtful Wishes set. And it's got these gorgeous dies to match that match the stamps, but also there's these 3 extra dies which have cut out the bits I've used for the card today. And I made it in, again, I was sticking to my monochrome theme, so I made it in Shy Shamrock. I stamped across this panel and then I stamped the splatters. I've stamped it in much the same way. But when I'd finished this card, I wasn't altogether happy with it. I thought sticking these on top would add some dimension, and it doesn't really. It's very, very flat. And I thought that the panel I'd cut there was just too big. It just didn't seem to match the card very well. So I wasn't happy with that card. Otherwise, I made it exactly the same as this one. So this time I wanted to try this colour because I have to say I love this colour, and it looks particularly good with the stamping on stamping. So what I did, I cut a smaller panel. So that one was 7 centimetres by 9. This is 5 centimetres by 9, or in inches. I did write down the inches somewhere. 2.5 by 3.5 inches. And it looks better, I think, with the smaller panel. Definitely. See what you think, but I definitely prefer the smaller panel, and I actually prefer how I've laid out the die cuts around it as well. So they're coming from behind the panel instead of just sitting on top of it and just sort of being a bit bleh. So still, I will send that card to somebody, but I like this one better, I have to say. So I'm happy with this one. Final thing we need to decide is I've got this little bit sort of hanging off the edge. I don't like it. I don't know about you. I know I have already got stems hanging down there. So what do you think? Yeah, smaller panel looks good. I agree, Suzanne, it's better. Colour is awesome. I totally agree. I've absolutely fallen in love with Basic Beige. I really have. So my final question, should I cut off the bottom of that stem or not? Do I leave it hanging like the others are sort of poking out? I really can't decide, so I need your help on that one. What do you think? Should I cut it off or leave it? Really not sure. And there's another question too, is do I use some of these adhesive backed swirls and have a few gems? I might actually. Let's take some out and see. We can always take them off again if we don't like them. So it was these ones, these much, obviously don't want the dark ones. These are from the Latte Love Suite, which is an online exclusive. So let's just try one and see what it looks like if I hold it up. Oh, I quite like that. What do you think? They're all the same size. I haven't got the option of different sizes with these gems, but I do quite like that. What do you think? Suzanne says cut, Arlene says hanging. That doesn't help. If there's anybody else out there, we need a casting vote on whether I should leave this little tag here hanging or cut it. So if anybody else is there, please let me know what you think about that. And then we have to decide on these gems. Do we add the gems or not? If I hold this a bit closer, you'll see them better. That is the gem. What do you think? Maybe cut it. Oh, Arlene, you're changed. Oh, somebody else is saying cut it. Right, we definitely have Arterai. I like that name. We have a definite vote on that. We're going to cut it. So I am very carefully going to trim that so that it's level with the bottom of my panel. And I agree. I think that was the right thing to do. Too late now. We think it's the wrong thing to do. I can't stick it back on. But I think that was the right thing to do because that one's sitting on the panel. These are coming from behind and have a bit of depth because I've left them sort of floating, not stuck them fully down. Yeah, I like that. So what do you think about the gems? Shall I have the gems on or not? That is the big question. Better. Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I think it was absolutely right to cut it. So the gems, what do you think? Bring it close so you can see it again. Cut is better. Yeah, I think we're right, Ardine. I think that is definitely the way to go. And I think thank you very much for helping me with that because I think it would have annoyed me if I'd let it. I don't mind these being sort of left because they are part of these shoots that are coming up behind, so that's okay. But you like it as it is. I know I'm half thinking not, but I just feel this corner's a little bit bare somehow. I don't know. I think the gems are a bit big, and one of the problems I had with this card is I felt the gems I'd used were too big. I explained at the start, I actually have lost my in-colour gems. So I haven't got the in-colour ones. These are an old glitter gem from Christmas past, I think, or a couple of Christmases ago even, possibly, I can't remember. But I just felt they were a bit too big on the card. Didn't like them. So I think perhaps I won't put the gems on this one. Okay, but I do want something up here. I just think that corner looks a bit blank. I know it's where my sentiment is, but I don't know. You have the background stamping. Yes, I do. Love the gems might be too much. I agree. I think it would be too much. I have got my background stamping there. One of the things I could do, because I stamped some of these off, they're a little bit faint up there. I've done 2 or 3 faint ones in the middle and just the big one there. If I stamped a bit more of the splatter, just plain stamped, I think it might fill in that corner a bit better. I think that is what I will do. So thank you for reminding me, Suzanne, that I'd had that background stamping, because I think then if I just fill in a bit more with some actual proper ink splatter, there we go. Now it will dry a little bit lighter than that, but yeah, just adding that, because I'd stamped off quite a few of those. Wink of Stella. Now there's an idea. Oh, yes, because we're not using gems. I think if you're using gems, don't use Wink of Stella. It's too much. But yeah, what a good idea. Where is my Wink of Stella? It's up here somewhere. There we go. I think I am. I love that idea. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that just that splatter restamped, just plain stamped in the top instead of all some of the stamped off bits. That has just filled in the corner well enough. Oh, can't get my wink of Stella out. There we go. I am going to just wink of Stella this centre, the flowers on this centre one. Oh, yeah. Should I do a border? No, I'm not going to. No, stop. Before you go too far. But that, now, almost certain I can't get it to wink in the camera, of course, because the light that comes in from here is not very good. But I can see the wink. It's on the flowers on there. Don't know if it's catching the light at all, but lovely. You really love the card. Great job. Thank you very much, Ardine. That's really, really kind of you. I have to say, I prefer this card to my first one. Partly because I used Shy Shamrock because I'm trying to force myself to use some of the in colours that I'm not that excited about, and they're the greens because I'm not a green person. I like purples. Purple is my favourite colour. I quite like reds and browns and oranges. I like pink. I like proper pinks, not funny pinks. So I really sort of pushed myself with that one. And it's probably partly the reason I don't like this card so much is because of the colour, I have to say. But yeah, I am much more pleased with this one. I think it's come out better. So if you did miss, I know, Ardine, you said you'd missed the start. Thank you, Suzanne. You agree. Great job. Thank you. So what I did with this card, I'll put all the measurements in the blog. They're coming out. It'll be out within the next half hour to an hour, whenever I've taken the picture of this card so I can put it in. And I've used the centre panel. So in this one, I've made the panel smaller from this one. This one I felt was too big. So this panel is 5 centimetres by 9 centimetres. This one was 7, 5 by 9 or 2 by 3.5 inches on a normal sized card base. And then because I raised the panel this time, I could tuck these behind, and I think that definitely looks better. So I'm much happier with my second card. Partly, I think that is the colour, to be fair. Today's card definitely better. Yeah, I agree too. The green is lovely. It is a lovely green. And if you're into green, it's probably fine. But I just don't really like green. That's part of the problem. Anyway, I'm definitely going to prefer this one. I'm going to cover that one up and just prefer this one because it's nicer. But anyway, play around. Have a go with this sort of idea. What other sets have you got? You might not have this set, but what other sets have you got that you might be able to play with some die cuts behind a raised panel and just see what sort of different types of cards you can make. But yeah, much happier with this card. Thank you for all your advice. Definitely cutting off the stem was right. And I agree that we shouldn't have put the gems on, and the extra stamping has actually made the difference. So thank you for all your help on that. Thank you for joining me today. I do lives most weeks. I am not here next week. I am having a week off. I did explain at the start of the video, I do a lot of cricket scoring at this time of year. Let me put me back and then I can actually talk to you. There we go. I'll hold the card up so you can still see it. How about that? Nah, like that. Yeah. So you can still see the card. Yes, I do a lot of cricket. Save the green for Christmas. Now there's an idea. If I change the sentiment, it would make Christmas. Ooh. Use the Snapdragon set. Yeah, I think you could use just about any set. The technique I've used here is by using temporary adhesive to stick this panel onto the base card, stamping so that you stamp onto the card and the panel at the same time, and then you lift off the panel, stick it on the small mat, and then raise it up on the card. That's the sort of way I've made the card, and then the other bits were just the die cuts around it. So yes, I think the Snapdragon set would. Please play around with all the sets you've got and see which ones work, because I think there's quite a few that would work with this. Bye, Art. Thank you for joining me, Arterai. I'm sure that's not your real name, but I like it. Yeah, so I'm not here next week, but I will be back at 2 o'clock on my usual time, which is Tuesday, 2 o'clock in 2 weeks' time. So have a go with this and let me know. Do send me, my email is carol@craftycarolscards.co.uk. The website is craftycarolscards.co.uk. Do go there and sign up for my emails, and then you'll know when I am doing these lives, and you'll have the link for the Zoom. Because I do a live Zoom where you can actually talk to me, because you can join me on Zoom and we can talk rather than me have to read messages. So do join me for that. That's this week it's tomorrow at 10:30. It's normally a Thursday. I am changing how I do that, so do sign up for my emails so that you know when I am going to be running those, because I want to run them more as an interactive class. So tomorrow I have got a project, but we will be doing the cutting and the making at the same time. So if you want to join me, you just need a couple of, 2 pieces of coloured cardstock, a matching sheet of 12 by 12 DSP, and a bit of matching ribbon, and some basic white, thick basic white if you've got it. There you go. What project are we going to make tomorrow? You can come and join me and find out on the Zoom. The Zoom link is on the website as well if you don't already have my emails, or it is in the email if you get my emails. So thank you for joining me today. And as I said, all the details and measurements will be uploaded today, hopefully in about an hour. And I will see you again next week.